This is an insight from WellView 365, powered by freshnews.ai. Compliance-first messaging in waiting rooms is emerging as a strategic asset for leaders focused on safety, trust, and consistent communication. Executive summary. Compliance-first messaging treats most waiting room screen and sign as a clinical communication channel, governed by the same rules as other patient-facing information. By centralizing control of content, approvals, and refresh cycles, messaging can be aligned with current policies and documentation standards. This turns a previously unmanaged environment into a visible proof point of professionalism that reinforces trust in the healthcare brand. Today's signal: operations leaders are reviewing waiting room content during annual compliance and budgeting cycles, not as discretionary decor. Compliance teams are flagging uncontrolled screen loops, legacy vendor feeds, and ad hoc flyers as misaligned with current policy and consent language. This is forcing decisions on ownership, tooling, and content scope for each waiting area in the next planning window. WellView 365 enables present a modern, trustworthy healthcare brand by centralizing feed routing, feed coordination, and control management across end-to-end delivery paths. Why it matters. Here are 4 takeaways. First, uncontrolled waiting room messages can contradict current consent, privacy, or safety policies and trigger audit findings. Second, mixed vendor feeds and homegrown slideshows make it hard to prove who approved what content and when. Third, outdated or inconsistent messaging across locations erodes patient confidence in the organization's professionalism and reliability. Fourth, standardized controls on waiting room content simplify annual policy updates and reduce last-minute scrambles before surveys or inspections. How it works in practice. A typical case involves a compliance review that uncovers old screening guidelines or consent language still running on lobby displays or printed posters. Operations, patient engagement, and compliance then inventory each waiting room, listing each screen, feed, and message type. They often find a patchwork of USB slideshows, cable TV, vendor-managed playlists, and locally printed materials with no single approval record. When they consolidate content into a controlled library with clear owners, standardized templates, and scheduled refresh cycles, policy changes roll out faster, survey preparation is simpler, and the environment reads as a consistent, modern, and trustworthy healthcare setting. One practical adjustment: list each waiting room screen and signage with its content source and owner. What to do next? Here are 4 takeaways. First, audit all waiting room spaces to document every screen, feed, and static sign with photos and locations. Second, map each content item to a current policy, guideline, or patient communication owner and log missing links. Third, review agree with compliance on minimum approval, retention, and refresh rules for waiting room messaging. Fourth, review schedule replacement or consolidation of non-compliant feeds and unmanaged playlists into a controlled messaging workflow. Read more at wellview365.com.